Nervous about meeting.
If God is for us, then who the is against us?
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and they command the top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and they command the top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.
Welcome to the Wealth Mindset with JD Garnier. Listen, how do you go from a man who's nervous about meeting new people and insecure about what he brings to the table to a man that can walk in any room full of confidence and make his presence felt? How do you go from a man chasing opportunities and looking for a chance to a man who people look for those opportunities and a man who people seek out for that chance? How do you become a producer? At some point in your life, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to choose a path based on how you're going to make a living. Some people choose to be entrepreneurs. Some people choose a skill or a career path. Some people simply trade their time for money. Whichever direction that you pick, in order for you to be at the top of the food chain, you're going to have to produce. When I first started working as a professional in finance, there was a guy in our firm who had the biggest office right in the corner. And he would show up late. He would go to lunch whenever he wanted to. We had to be there at 8 o'clock. He pretty much showed up and did what he wanted. He left whenever he wanted. And I remember saying out loud to one of my colleagues, why does he get to do whatever he wants? We never see him in the office. And my colleague very simply said, production has privileges. Production has privileges. When you're a producer, you call the shots. When you're a producer, you have the say-so. The more productive you are, the more freedom you have. When you're a producer, you can do what you want to do. You can say what you want to say. Because production has privileges. And so the question today is, how do you become a producer? In economics, a producer is someone who creates economic value. See, when you create economic value, your presence justifies itself. When you create economic value, wealth attaches itself to that value. When you become a producer, you have the say-so because you are creating the value and not just working for it. So how do you become a producer? Well, the first thing you have to do is prepare. Most people lose before they even start because they are not willing to prepare. Whether it's a race, whether it's a game, whether it's a competition, whether it is your life. How you prepare before the game starts is going to dictate your performance. Most people are not willing to prepare. Most people don't stay up late studying for the test. Most people don't make sure that they've gone over all of their notes before the presentation. But how you prepare breeds confidence. When you show up unprepared, when you show up winging it, when you haven't dug deep and really understood what's necessary for you to get a deal, for you to make this happen, for you to really produce, it's going to be evident. It's going to show. And just like in a game, right? You haven't been shooting all your jump shots. You haven't been practicing right. It's going to show when the game starts. You haven't been working on your handles. you're going to turn the ball over. You haven't been consistently shooting your jump shots. When it's your opportunity to play in a game, you're going to miss. And so the first step in becoming a producer is preparation. This can set you apart from 99% of people because most people are not willing to put the work in. Most people are not willing to do what it takes. And so if you can commit to preparing, if you can commit whatever that thing is that you do, whatever that thing is that you have the opportunity to become a producer at, the first thing that you need to do is prepare. That means lock in. That means know everything that you need to know about the subject. When I was first starting out, I knew that I would sit in front of people who were 20, 30 years my senior. They had life experience over me. They probably knew more things than I did about my own profession at the time, because even though I was licensed, I was in my 20s. And so I knew that in order for me to be successful, I had to not only prepare, but be over prepared. That doesn't just mean knowing your profession. That means knowing your clients. That means knowing their problems. That means understanding what's going on in the world and how those things affect the people that you want to do business with. Preparation is understanding the three-dimensional dynamic of what you're trying to do. It's not enough for you to just have book knowledge. It's not enough for you to just have information that you can give to people. You have to understand how that information applies to their life, how you can solve their problem, and how you can execute. What's the first step to execute? And so in the beginning, understanding all that takes time. In the beginning, your preparation sometimes takes hours. But what you are doing is cultivating a foundational base of knowledge and expertise. And the bigger that foundational base grows, the more confidence you have to be able to handle anything. And so preparation is an ongoing thing. Developing yourself into a producer is an ongoing thing. For 25 years, I have been preparing myself. I still read 10 pages a day like I did 20 years ago. I still look through charts and data and statistics so I can know what's going on. I still read articles from publications of my clients' profession so I can know what problems they're facing, so I can know what things that they're thinking about. Preparation is an ongoing thing. You always want to be prepared. And if you want to be a producer, you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to dig deep. Most people are not willing to do this part. They lazy. They want to get the fruit off the tree, but they don't want to water the soil. They don't want to cultivate the soil. You're going to have to be over prepared to become a producer. That's step one. But once you prepare, that's not enough. You still don't have no clients. You still don't have no money. You still haven't produced anything. Once you are prepared, the next step is positioning. How do you position yourself in front of the people who need what you have? How do you position yourself in front of the people who need your expertise? You know, in business, there's something that I call a natural network. We all have a natural network. It is a natural group of people that you gravitate towards, that you connect with, and that you associate with, right? Everybody has a natural network. It could be your alumni, it could be church members, it could be people you grew up with, it can be people that are part of an organization that you spend time in, right? It is the group of people that you naturally gravitate towards and that you associate with. The problem is, a lot of times our natural network is not the group of people who need our expertise. Our natural network of friends and colleagues and associates is not the same people who need what we have. Those are not the same people that can increase our income are adding value to their life. And so the question is, how do you expand your natural network? Or how do you come out of that comfort zone and position yourself in front of the people who need what you have? See, my issue when I was first starting out is that my natural network was people I went to school with, people I played college basketball with, people at my church, people in my family, people in my neighborhood. But guess what? Those people didn't have any money. I was working in high level finance and I was expected to go out and find people with millions of dollars and position myself to be able to advise them in a certain way. But my natural network was full of people who didn't have that. And so my problem was I had the knowledge. I was prepared. I did everything I needed to do to get all my licenses. I was reading every day. I was ready. But I was not positioned properly. I was in a business comfort zone. I was associating with and connecting with people who were comfortable to me, but I couldn't really add any value to their life because my expertise had to go elsewhere. And so I had to expand my natural network. That starts with positioning. Who is the person that needs what I have? What is that person's problems? Where do they spend time? What are their priorities? What changes in the world or in the economy are affecting them? I had to know all of those things. But not only did I have to know all of those things, I had to know where to find these people. I had to be comfortable in the environments that they were in. I had to be able to speak their language. I had to be able to connect the dots. And so a few things that I did to do that. The first I call mind confusion. I talked about this yesterday. And again, if you work out, you're familiar with the term muscle confusion. It's when you consistently introduce new workouts to your routine to confuse your muscles so that they are always stimulated and they have no choice but to react to these new exercises, and it forces your muscles to grow. Mind confusion is the same concept. You see, unfortunately, we are creatures of habit. And so we consume the same things, we associate with the same people, we read the same things, we watch the same TV shows. And at some point in our lives, we become complacent. We develop this comfort zone of things and people that we are okay with, that we're comfortable with, that we feel secure with. But if those people are not the people who need what you have, that comfort zone is going to destroy your development and your growth. And so, how you come out that comfort zone? Mind confusion. Instead of introducing new exercises to your body, you introduce new ideas and concepts to your mind. You read something that you would never read. You consume something on TV or social media that you would never, ever consider. You take a different direction to work. You associate with people that are outside of your natural network. You find ways to stimulate your mind outside of what it is used to so that it can expand. Because what happens when you introduce yourself to a new idea, to a new concept, when you consume something that you never did before, even when you talk to somebody who you've never met and meet a new person, what happens is areas in your brain start to stimulate that were not stimulated. New ideas form. Things happen. You consider things that you would have never considered. And the next thing you know, you have all new perspective on things that were dormant. You expand your mind. You confuse it to a point where it has to be stimulated and it has to react to these new environments. And so what I would do in my 20s as a young Black man, intimidated, insecure, in the beginning, I would be at events, I would be at conferences, I would be in places where I was the only Black man, and I would cower. I would find the first corner I wouldn't talk to people. I was intimidated. But eventually I understood that my success wasn't just about my aptitude. It wasn't just about what I knew in my mind. It wasn't just about my academics. If I wanted to be successful, I had to take what's in my mind and I had to add value to people's lives. And the only way for me to do that is to come out of my natural comfort zone. But in order for me to get out of that comfort zone, I had to have a certain level of confidence in myself to take that step. That confidence was built with my preparation. And now that I was prepared, I started to position myself in the places of the people who needed what I had. You have to position yourself. In your natural life, right? There's something I call passion prospecting. When you connect the things that you're passionate about, right? The things that you involve yourself in for your life, and you connect that with the people who need your expertise, and you prospect through your passions. Meaning, if I'm involved in a nonprofit organization and I'm giving my time to this cause, I am also going to use that opportunity to add values to people's lives who care about the same cause. That allowed me to meet people who are outside of my natural network. Allowed me to connect with people who we shared that one thing in common, even though our lives were totally different. You have to position yourself to add value to people's lives. Where do you spend your time? Who do you associate with? Preparation, positioning. And the last thing is production. A lot of times, people don't really know what they need. They know what the problem is, or should I say, they know what the symptom is, but they don't really know what the problem is. And so, as a producer, you have to be very good at listening and diagnosing the problem. Almost like when you go to the doctor. All I know, doc, is I have a pain in my shoulder. I don't know where it come from. I just have a pain in my shoulder. And what the doctor is going to do is listen to me describe the pain, ask me a series of questions to understand better, and then he's going to dig deeper to identify the source of that pain. That's where the solution lies. So if you want to be a producer, you have to be able to listen in a way that helps you diagnose the source of the problem. You know, sometimes clients come in and say, hey, JD, I want to do this, this, and this. I need to do this. And then we sit down and we talk. And eventually I found out the reason why they want to do this is because they have a problem here or because these other things happen. Once I know that, I know the source of the problem. And so now it is incumbent upon me to be the problem solver, to be the producer. In my book, How to Sell When Your Clients Don't Look Like You, I have a chapter called Listen Your Way to Success. See, a lot of times people think that they have to talk their way to success, that they have to convince people how intelligent they are, how smart they are. They believe that they have to talk their way to success. But all you have to do is listen. You're in front of the right prospect, you're in front of the right client, you're in front of the right opportunity. All you have to do is listen. If you ask the right questions and listen, people will tell you their problem. They will tell you the thing that is affecting them. They will tell you what you need to do to produce. All you have to do is listen. And so I think I'm going to talk about this for the rest of the week because I think, you know, I've gotten a lot of questions. People reach out to me a lot of times and really just ask about my profession, about how I got to where I am, about what I do on a daily basis. And You know, I'm somebody who started with no network, no clients, no relationships. And over the course of the past 20 plus years, I've built a wealth management practice where we manage over $250 million. And the thing that I learned is that most people are not producers. Most people cannot tell you how to build a business or grow a company. Most people at the top of the food chain, they were given those opportunities, if I'm being honest with you. And so I was in a position where I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have anybody to tell me how to grow a practice. I didn't have anybody freely giving me information. A lot of times our office dynamics were such that I was the only black man in the whole office. There were people that wouldn't even look at me. It's people I was in the office with for years and I've never heard their voice. And so I was really left to figure everything out on my own. I was really left to figure out, how do you build relationships with people who don't look like you? How do you transcend societal differences to build business relationships with that are foundationally built on trust? I had to figure all of that out on my own. I had to figure out, how does a young black man that's 27, 28, 29 years old convince somebody who is 50, 60, 70 years old to trust me? That I was the person that could add value to their life. And I did that by being productive, by preparing, and by positioning myself in front of the people who needed what I had. And listen, production, being a producer, comes with failure. It's so many times that I failed. It's so many times that I doubted myself. But once you know your purpose, you have to push through that doubt. You have to push through that insecurity. And you have to push past it through preparation and positioning. Once you know who you are, even if there is no evidence, you have to have faith and you have to believe that you're going to get it done. But that confidence comes from your preparation. You don't start out with that confidence. When I first started, my head used to be down. My shoulders would curl up. My palms would sweat. But when you prepare yourself and build yourself up in a way that you know who you are, your chest comes out, your chin raises up. And that foundational belief is enough to give you everything that you need to become a producer. Have a productive week and always remember, change begins from within. I'll see y'all next time.